Commentary by the official representative of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MV. Zakharova, regarding the situation around Ukraine. The criminal Kyiv regime continues to strike innocent residents of Russian cities and villages. Ukrainian neo-Nazis, facing setbacks in the combat zone, are carrying out bloody terrorist acts against civilians. On July 31, a city tram in Horlivka was attacked by a UAV from the Ukrainian Armed Forces, UAF. The tram driver was killed, and 3 people were injured. On August 1, in Shebekino, Belgorod region, the UAF used a drone to strike a passenger bus, injuring 3 people. On August 2, the UAF shelled Volnovakha with MLRS, killing 1 civilian and injuring another. On the same day in Horlivka, a Ukrainian drone attacked a vehicle delivering bread, injuring the driver. On August 4, the UAF launched a massive attack on Luhansk using NATO long-range missiles ATACMS and Storm Shadow. Thanks to the coordinated efforts of Russian air defense, casualties and significant damage were avoided. On the same day, Ukrainian neo-Nazis directed a drone right into the window of a residential 5-story building in Shebekino. This cynical attack resulted in the death of an elderly woman. A video of this crime, circulated on the internet, shows that the drone operator deliberately targeted a room with an open window, knowing that civilians were inside. On August 5, in Vyazovoy, Krasnoyarsky district, Belgorod region, the UAF used a UAV to attack a civilian bus belonging to an agricultural enterprise. The driver died before medical help arrived, and 3 people were injured. On the same day, Ukrainian criminals shelled Horlivka with 155 mm caliber shells, killing a woman waiting for public transport. During the night of August 5 to 6, UAF militants struck the settlement of Suja in the Kursk region, injuring 5 people, including 3 children, and damaging several residential buildings. On August 6, Ukrainian armed formations attacked a moving vehicle with a drone in the Graverin urban district of the Belgorod region, killing 1 civilian. From August 6 to 7, Ukrainian neo-Nazis launched a massive terrorist attack on the Kursk region, deploying significant infantry and heavy armor. Zelensky sent Ukrainian citizens into this slaughter to extend the deadly Ukrainian mobilization for another 3 months. Today, he signed the corresponding law. The Russian armed forces decisively repelled the enemy, inflicting significant losses. However, according to available information, 24 civilians in the Kursk region, including 6 children, were injured during the shelling by Ukrainian militants. A paramedic and a driver were killed in a drone strike on an ambulance. With their barbaric attack in the Kursk region, the Ukrainian banderists tried to sow panic among the region's residents and demonstrate some semblance of activity amid the constant failures of the UAF in the conflict zone. Clearly, their calculations failed once again. All these bloody crimes are occurring amid the cynical silence of the West, which continues to cover for its Kyiv puppets. This only strengthens the sense of impunity among Ukrainian neo-Nazis, confident that any atrocity will go unpunished. We urge the international community not to stand aside and to decisively condemn the criminal actions of the Kyiv regime. Russian courts, based on evidence from the Investigative Committee of Russia, continue to convict Ukrainian neo-Nazis for committing serious crimes against civilians. Ukrainian militant A-man Zak received a 27-year prison sentence for shelling civilian infrastructure in the settlement of Sakhanka, Novoazovsk district, DPR, at the end of February 2022. His criminal actions resulted in 1 civilian sustaining a blast injury, and damage to 3 residential buildings and a vehicle. The Supreme Court of the LPR sentenced UAF militant A. Zamlinsky to 20 years in absentia for issuing a criminal order to shell residential buildings in the settlement of Tryachizbenka in the LPR, resulting in damage to 5 residential buildings. Finnish mercenary Topi Hatala was sentenced in absentia to 14 years for participating in combat operations on the site of the UAF from March 2022 to May of this year. He has been placed on an international wanted list. Additionally, on July 31, the Basmany Court of Moscow sentenced Ukrainian TV presenter Natalia Mozychuk in absentia to 5 years in prison for inciting violence against Russian officers and their families. She has been on the wanted list since 2023. None of these criminals will escape punishment. They will be held accountable to the full extent of the law. On August 4, a pompous presentation of NATO-supplied F-16 fighter jets took place in Ukraine. Zelensky, present at the event, expressed his gratitude to NATO sponsors for the delivery. According to The Economist, the first 10 fighter jets, out of a possible 79, arrived in Ukraine at the end of July, and their number will increase to 20 by the end of the year. The remaining jets are supposedly to be delivered in 2025. This move aligns with the West's strategy to escalate the Ukrainian crisis and does not contribute to creating conditions for its resolution through political and diplomatic means. The US and its satellites, by supplying Kyiv with increasingly lethal weapons, are betting on continuing the hostilities at any cost. Clearly, Washington and London are enthralled by dreams of inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia and do not consider the consequences of their irresponsible actions. The supply of F-16 fighter jets to the UAF will not be the magic pill Kyiv so eagerly anticipates. They will not be able to influence the situation in the combat zone and will be systematically destroyed by the Russian armed forces. Chief of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine K. Butanovagan stated plans to strike the Crimean Bridge. According to him, corresponding work is being carried out to prepare for terrorist attacks. Meanwhile, on June 17, Ukrainian Navy spokesman D. Platenkuk admitted that the Crimean Bridge no longer plays its former role for military logistics and therefore is not a military target. It is clear that the main goal of Kyiv terrorists in their manic quest to destroy this civilian object is to create panic among the peninsula's population and tourists. It should be noted that the Crimean Bridge is used for tourist purposes by millions of Russians, including families with children. The Kyiv junta continues to show particular zeal in destroying Soviet and Russian memorial heritage. The country is undergoing a massive campaign to demolish monuments and rename toponyms associated with the Great Patriotic War, Russia, and Russian culture. Sometimes, Zelensky regime officials display special cynicism and inventiveness. Recently, in the Zhytomyr region, a sculpture of V.I. Lenin was transformed into a monument to Ukrainian poet Taras Shevchenko by replacing its head. In the village of Luka, Kalush district, Ivano-Frankivsk region, a monument to Soviet soldiers who gave their lives for Ukrainian land was demonstratively destroyed. In total, 78 monuments to liberator soldiers are planned to be demolished in this region. Authorities in the Dnipropetrovsk region announced the renaming of about 300 streets and objects, including 135 in Kryvyi. Following the demolition of monuments to Russian military leader A.V. Suvorov and Empress Catherine II, the Odessa City Council decided to rename several streets, including Pushkin, Ilf, and Petrov, and Zvainetsky. This action is another attempt by radicals who seized power in Kyiv to erase the feats of anti-Nazi fighters and the names of famous cultural figures, including their compatriots, whose biographies have a Russian trace. On August 3, a memorial plaque in Kharkiv, dedicated to anti-fascist fighters and written in Ukrainian, was dismantled. It was installed in 2005 to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the victory over Nazi Germany. It is symbolic that amidst this destructive work by the Kyiv regime, media reports emerged that a year after the barbaric dismantling of the USSR emblem on the motherland statue in Kyiv and its replacement with the Ukrainian trident, corrosion appeared on the new welds. Notably, last year's act of vandalism led to a corruption scandal. It turned out that Ukraine lacks suitable high-quality steel, so it had to be imported, tripling the project's cost. It is not surprising that today, the new symbols of Ukrainian statehood are rusting while the authorities plunder the country and sell it to the West. We are convinced that true historical memory cannot be eradicated by such primitive methods. Punishment for the sacrilegious crimes committed by the Kyiv regime. State vandalism in the memorial sphere is inevitable and has no statute of limitations. These facts once again confirm the relevance of the objectives of the special military operation for the denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine and the elimination of threats emanating from its territory. All these objectives will undoubtedly be achieved.